Hello everyone, and welcome back to Deadly Destinations. In this video, we travel to the sun-drenched shores of the Philippines, a destination known for its tropical beauty, vibrant marine life, and adventure-seeking tourists. But for two Russian travelers, a dream dive into the deep turned into a harrowing nightmare beneath the waves. This is the story of the Batangas scuba diving tragedy, where the ocean's hidden dangers have claimed the lives of these tourists in the most horrifying way imaginable. Viewer discretion is advised. Located just south of Manila, the coastal town of Mabini in Batangas Province is a haven for scuba diving enthusiasts. Known for its crystal-clear waters, abundant coral reefs, and exotic fish species, it's a magnet for divers from around the globe. But beneath its serene surface lies a treacherous secret, powerful undercurrents that have caught even the most experienced swimmers off guard. On Friday, April 4, 2025, two Russian tourists arrived in Mabini seeking a taste of the Philippines' famed underwater beauty. Their names were not immediately released by authorities, but both were experienced divers in their 30s, reportedly vacationing from Moscow and visiting the country for the first time. They had booked a dive with a local diving location known for catering to international visitors. The plan was a standard, guided dive to a well-known reef just off the coast, an area praised for its visibility and biodiversity. Conditions seemed favorable at first. The sky was clear, the water calm, and the dive site had been used earlier that same morning without incident. The sun burned low in a cloudless sky as the boat rocked gently near the reef. Laughter floated on the breeze as the Russian tourists checked their gauges and secured their masks. With a practice motion, they dropped backward into the water, disappearing into the cool blue below. Down there, silence. Only the slow hiss of oxygen and the rush of bubbles. Shafts of sunlight filtered through the water like cathedral windows. They hovered above the coral gardens, entranced by the vivid colors and gentle sway of sea life. But then, a subtle shift. The water grew colder. The current tugged harder. At first, it was gentle, then insistent. The dive guide gestured urgently, signaling a change in plan. The group tried to ascend together, but in the blink of an eye, the two tourists were swept sideways, swallowed by the current. According to the Philippine Coast Guard, the pair entered the water around 10 a.m. with a guide. However, within minutes, the dive turned disastrous. Strong undercurrents, common in the area but often unpredictable, swept the divers far from their planned path. The guide attempted to signal for help and make contact with the divers, but the current split them apart. Panic spread beneath the waves. The two Russian tourists were carried deeper and farther from the boat. One of them, later believed to be one of the women, was eventually found drowned by rescuers later that afternoon, her oxygen tank empty and gear tangled. The other diver, presumed to be her male companion, was discovered in far worse condition. The world beneath the surface turned chaotic. Silt and sand spun in whirlpools around the diver's feet. The woman had no sight of her partner. Her heart pounded in her chest as she kicked upward, her body resisting the relentless pull. The deeper she went, the more the light dimmed. Her breaths came faster now, each one louder in her ears. Her vision blurred. Was that a shadow? Her limbs ached. She reached for her inflator valve, but something tugged her from behind her gear, caught in the coral. She struggled, twisting, fighting to break free. Far below, her companion drifted, helpless against the invisible force dragging him further into the abyss. In the dimness, something moved past him fast, deliberate. A flash of teeth, then nothing but dark. According to Coast Guard spokesperson Rear Admiral Armand Balilo, the second victim's body showed signs of a shark attack. Though rare in Philippine waters, shark encounters are not unheard of, particularly in deeper, less frequented areas. The discovery horrified rescuers and sent shockwaves through the diving community. Witnesses from nearby dive boats described seeing the guide surface alone, frantically waving for help. One diver, Manuel Ramos, said, "He was shouting, panicking. We knew something was wrong. He kept pointing to the open sea." Another tourist, Chloe Martin, who was diving in the same reef, noted, "We started hearing the boats circle fast. Then we saw rescue divers jumping in with urgency. A fellow diver from Hong Kong, identified as Leo Chun, had been part of the earlier dive group that morning. "The currents were weird even then," he said. "We surfaced sooner than planned. I told my buddy it didn't feel right today." Local fishermen who joined the search effort claimed they found dive gear drifting miles from the original site. "The water looks peaceful," one said, "but the currents underneath can drag you away like a monster." The tragic event led to an extensive recovery operation involving the Coast Guard, volunteer divers, and local authorities. The bodies were brought back to shore and taken to a nearby hospital. The Russian embassy in Manila was immediately contacted, and an investigation was launched. Back in Russia, the families of the victims were devastated. The female diver had been documenting their Southeast Asian tour on social media, pictures of beaches, temples, and street food, now eerily frozen in time. Friends and followers flooded the comment sections with condolences. One family member told a Russian news outlet they were so excited about this trip. It was their escape from the cold, from the stress. "We never imagined they wouldn't return." The grief extended beyond shock. There was anger too. Another relative speaking to a Moscow newspaper asked, "How can a diving company be allowed to operate where currents are this dangerous without emergency safeguards?" The Russian embassy in Manila issued a statement expressing deep condolences and urged Philippine authorities to conduct a thorough investigation into the incident. "We are coordinating with local authorities to ensure full accountability and transparency," the statement read. The dock was quiet, except for the rhythmic lap of the waves. The dive guide sat on a crate, head buried in his hands, wetsuit dripping with seawater and grief. Nearby, the recovered dive gear lay neatly arranged: flippers, masks, a camera still blinking, a silent witness to the couple's final moments. Local authorities in Batangas were quick to reassure the public and tourists that safety measures were in place. But the tragedy raised serious questions. Were the guides aware of the undercurrents that day? Were warning systems or emergency plans sufficient? The diving company, while cooperative, declined to comment beyond a brief statement of sympathy. Marine experts pointed out that April is a transitional period in the Philippine seas, with shifting monsoon winds and ocean currents increasing unpredictability. Dr. Lila Navarro, a senior oceanographer at the Philippine Institute of Marine Science, noted in a recent report that April often brings erratic current patterns as the northeast monsoon weakens and the southwest monsoon starts to build momentum. These changes can significantly heighten the risk for divers, especially in open water sites. As word of the tragedy spread, the diving community in the Philippines rallied to improve safety measures. Briefings on local currents were updated and stricter buddy protocols were reinforced. "We owe it to the lives lost to do better," said one instructor. For the families, however, no policy change could undo the pain. The sister of one of the victims told a local Russian TV station, "We don't want revenge. We want change. They were just tourists, trying to see the world together. We lost a daughter, a brother, and dreams that will never come back." A memorial was held in Moscow where friends gathered to share stories of the adventurous, free-spirited couple. A travel blog they maintained, once filled with joyous captions, now stands frozen as an online shrine. Their story, though tragic, serves as a stark reminder that nature, no matter how breathtaking, demands respect and vigilance. Thank you for joining us on this sobering journey. If you found this story moving, please like, share, and subscribe to Deadly Destinations, where we bring you the hidden truths behind travel's darkest turns. Until next time, travel wisely, stay aware, and remember, sometimes the most inviting waters conceal the most unforgiving depths.